Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your fucking cloud. It be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease.
What is going on, guys? And in this video I'll be giving you my UFC Vegas 64 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday, November 5th, 2022. And this is going to be one hell, at least on paper, a weak card. And you know, I always say it every week we have a card like this where I'm just like, really, what is the point of it? Like, why are they putting together cards like this? It's like, I understand they don't want to cancel anything, but it's at the Apex, right? It's like, at that point, you know, save some of the fights for another card or something, because when you got Sherman and Parisian on the third fight on the main card, it's just kind of like Sherman was legitimately on his way out and still should, depending on whether he wins or not, should be on his way out. Marina Rodriguez versus Amanda Lemos, I mean, cool, that's a good fight, I guess, but at the same time, it's like, does it really need to be a main event? Magny versus Daniel Rodriguez, the co-main. You know, it's not really the best thing I've seen, but yeah, they keep putting on these shows. It's like, rather than just taking a break after Cater versus Allen, they just have this random. They could have just had a week off, honestly, and then we would have had UFC 281, and it would have been a banger. But we'll see if these are some pretty good fights. You know, obviously only the hardcores are watching these fights because no one even knows what's going on. But either way, let's go ahead and jump into the first fight. In the first fight on the main card, we have Dawson, 18-1-1, taking on Madsen, 12-0. You know, both guys are pretty good wrestlers. Obviously, Madsen, the Olympic wrestler. I think Madsen's still working on his hands. Now, granted, you're going to see improvements in between fights, but overall, I still think Dawson, regardless if sometimes he gets pieced up pretty, does definitely when he gets in there, he's willing to trade in the pocket, and he'll eat some shots just so he can get in close and get that takedown. And he's also not really the best striker, but he will start swinging, and you know, his pretty good chin has been defeated inside the UFC. Obviously had that draw against Ricky Glenn, but outside of that, like, he's gonna come forward, he's gonna do all 3 rounds, he can threaten on the ground with submissions. But I think the overall thing here is just that he can keep going and going and going and going. So he's kind of like, okay, yeah, you can hit me and all that, but I'm just gonna keep coming after you, like, even if you hit me. And then, like, I can land my own shots, and then I can also grapple and then take you down and try to submit you or do something on the floor. And then for someone like Madsen, where his hands are his hands are improving, 3 wins inside the UFC by decision, and then his first fight he got that KO TKO. But I would think that, like, even against Pichel, like, there were some moments where he definitely got pieced up in that fight, and I would say Madsen, his hands, they're not bad, but at the same time, it's not like he's gonna overwhelm you on the feet. I don't think, like, he's not putting together combinations. He's not like in your face dropping bombs in the pocket, right? Dawson's gonna get in his face and start dropping bombs and have the pace to where he can grapple with him. So I could see Madsen maybe getting like an early takedown, or just trying to get into an early clinch, maybe landing a couple clean shots early on. But over the course of the fight, I just think Dawson's going to be the aggressor, get in his face, and he's going to try to take him out. And, you know, I can really see him doing it because Madsen, I just feel like, is a little bit sketchy because it's mixed martial arts. Like, yeah, he can wrestle, obviously, but when you're getting, like, battered inside of the clinch, and any moment in the pocket, this dude's like winging shots, and even after you hit him, he's just coming forward trying to take you down, and he's trying to hit you. That's just draining, man. Like, it's just a different ball game inside the MMA. So I think Madsen's definitely a good fighter, unless I really think Madsen's opportunity here would be is if he can dominantly win the striking on the feet, right? If he can do that, maybe he can win this fight. But if he's getting pieced up on the feet, I just think this is just a matter of time. Or, you know, Dawson's just going to beat his ass in the second, third round and pull off a decision. So I'm going to go ahead with the decision on this one. You know, I'm not going to take him to win by, because I think both guys are pretty tough or whatever, but I'm going to go Dawson on this one, and I'm going to take him to win against Mark Madsen by a decision. In the second fight on the main card, we have Tagir Ulanbekov, 14-2, taking on Nate Maness, 14-2 as well. Both fighters are coming off of a loss. Ulanbekov, 3 fights inside the UFC. First one by unanimous decision against Bruno Silva. Second one, split decision against Alan Nascimento. And then obviously the third one, lost to a veteran in the game, Tim Elliott. And he was able to lose that one via decision in a fight where Elliott just made it competitive on the feet. He was able to hurt him on the feet. And he was also able to defend takedowns, go land his own takedowns. And so I think that's why Ulanbekov ran into basically a wall, because he couldn't do what he normally wants to do, and that's consistently land takedowns, have control on the floor, maybe throw some high kicks on the feet, land a little bit shots here, because he's not really, Ulanbekov is not really, I would say, like really super putting together combinations on the feet. Like, yeah, he could probably crack you or whatever, got some pretty good front kicks. Like I say, he'll throw out the head kicks, throw some leg kicks, but his defense on the feet is a little bit sketch. I think he's one of these guys that relies so much on getting the takedowns that, like, if he starts to get a little bit in trouble on the feet, it can get a little bit sloppy, right? He's going to just dive in for those takedowns when they might not really be there, and then he might pay for it a little bit. So for Ulanbekov, his grappling is very good, but he really needs to, like, be able to take you down and control you. If you're able to test him on the feet and land some pretty good shots, it could cause him to kind of ruin his game and stuff. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, obviously, Nate Maness is coming into this fight, and he is coming in with a loss over Umar Nurmagomedov, in honestly a similar way that Ulanbekov probably wants to fight him, right? Let's be honest here. Like, unanimous decision, 3 takedowns landed. Nate Maness literally only landed 2 significant strikes, so it's probably going to be like one of these things where if Ulanbekov wins this fight, it's going to be either by taking him down and just, ground and pound, doing something, or he pulls off that decision because Maness is really not able to get up or whatnot. So obviously Maness is going to have to do a lot more on the feet. He's going to have to be the aggressor. He's going to have to tire out Ulanbekov, which is going to include defending those takedowns. Or when you get into that clinch, make him pay, go for the elbows, try to knock him out, try to just hurt him pretty badly so that you got Ulanbekov coming in for some lazy takedowns. That being said, obviously it's going to be a little bit harder than I think. It's going to be hard, like, obviously, but Maness could do it. Like, I'm not saying he can't. Like, he could definitely land like a really big shot. Boom, got him. Or I just think that Ulanbekov will probably be able to take him down. And he's going to have trouble getting back up. It's just whether or not Ulanbekov is able to kind of keep that pace up, grind him out, and at the same time when they're on the feet, he's not getting absolutely crushed. But I think in a fight like this where Maness, he's going to be pretty game for this one, because he's probably thinking in his head, like, this dude's literally going to try to do what Nurmagomedov did to me in my last fight and put me on the floor. Like, and Maness knows, like, he can't do that. Otherwise, he might get the boot, right? He might not be in the UFC. So I think Maness is going to give it his all in this one. So I expect it to be a little bit competitive here. And I wouldn't be surprised if Maness is able to land like a takedown. I mean, not a takedown, land like a pretty big shot and then hurt Ulanbekov and make it a little bit more game. But I'm going to go with Tagir Ulanbekov on this one. I think he tries to get back to his classic ways as long as he doesn't get absolutely destroyed on the feet. And so I expect him to pull off this one against Nate Maness. I'll take him to win. Ulanbekov to defeat Nate Maness. I'll take him to win by a decision. In the third fight on the main card, we have Sherman, 16-10, taking on Josh Parisian, 15-5 for a heavyweight bout. This is going to be one hell of a heavyweight bout. It's going to be an absolute no, I'm just kidding. I mean, this is low-level heavyweight bout if you want to talk about heavyweights, right? It's kind of one of those fights where you could argue that neither guy should probably be in the UFC. Maybe Parisian should be in the UFC, but Sherman legitimately probably shouldn't be in the UFC. He only is in the UFC because he was able to get that win over Jared Vanderaa, and so they gave him another one. But he's also one of those guys who he'll jump in there, so they're probably giving him credit for that. But if he gets stuck on the floor, Chase Sherman, he's going to be in a world of trouble here. Not a good look for him. And also if like people can piece him up pretty good too, because he's not like, he's one of those heavyweights that doesn't have the best movement. He has a good jab and whatnot, but he'll start eating shots, man. And I guess maybe if anything, it's like durability, right? That he can eat all those shots and keep going and not get taken out. So that could be a thing here, but it still could get sloppy for him. Like it really could. Maybe Sherman's landing leg kicks and all that. But I think Parisian in this one, like I said, not that like he's like any better really, because he got taken out by Dontel Mays, got decision by Parker Porter, and outside of that, you probably wanted to have one against those guys, right? He defeated Alan Badeau in his last fight, but you could argue that he probably should have gotten stopped, as in like that was Badeau's fault, really just not putting it together and finishing him, and then he comes out and gets taken down or whatever, and it just gasses out horribly like in the second round. So I really think that one was more of Alan Badeau just kind of throwing the fight. He did not in a way of like, oh, he threw the fight intentionally, but it's just like a classic way to just for him to just kind of give up, and then he just gets taken out. Like he's like a first round guy, and then that's about it. So Parisian, maybe he gets the takedown here. I think that would probably be a pretty good thing to do, because you don't want a guy like Josh Parisian on top of you dropping bombs. I could see him finishing this one, maybe even late in the third round when both guys are kind of just out to lunch, a little bit tired or whatever. Whoever's able to get that takedown. And I don't really see Sherman getting a takedown in this one. I don't think he's gonna like just out of no I don't think he's out of nowhere gonna get that one takedown he's never gone for. So I expect Parisian to be the one that obviously tries to get this fight maybe against the fence, then on the floor, and then from there just proceed to drop bombs. Now Parisian has to be a little bit careful on the feet. At the end of the day, these two guys are heavyweights, and maybe Sherman's able to do what he did to Jared Vanderer. Very possible, right? But I don't think so. I think Parisian's gonna hurt him, take him down, and then finish him, and it'll be pretty sloppy up until the win or whatever. But we'll have to see. Like I said, neither guy probably gonna be anything inside the UFC, but I'm gonna go with Josh Parisian on this one. It's hard to trust either one, but I feel like if you've taken Sherman in any of these fights outside of the Villanueva fight and the Vanderer fight, like you lost, right? So it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go Josh Parisian to defeat Chase Sherman. I'm gonna take him to win by round 3 KO TKO. In the co-main event of the evening, we have Neil Magny, 26-10, taking on Daniel Rodriguez, T-Rod, 17-2 welterweight bout. So be a pretty good co-main event. I think we'll get to see whether or not Daniel Rodriguez is he going to be able to be at that top level. And obviously Neil Magny is kind of like the gatekeeper. The Haitian sensation is one of these guys where he's fought like everyone in the division at this point or whatever, and so he's kind of just always floating at the top, but he never really gets into that next level because he kind of gatekeeps, because he'll lose against like the top level guys. So like he did in his last fight, Neil Magny lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov via submission in round number 2, and it's one of those things where when he fights really good guys or whatever, he just gets crushed. Like it's obvious who's the better fighter and whatnot. Before that, he pulled off a split decision against Max Griffin, which he arguably was losing, and then he was able to turn it around, and then that's just at the judges. At that point, it's just up to the judges to decide. But that one was pretty competitive. Jeff Neal, that one was pretty slow, but pretty boring, whatever. Jeff Neal just didn't really do too much in that one against Michael Chiesa. So, fighting that top-level guy, he loses via unanimous decision. Chiesa kind of takes him down. Low-level striking bout or whatever. Against Robbie Lawler, he defeated him unanimous decision. Anthony Rocco Martin, unanimous decision. Li Jiang, unanimous decision. Gets KO'd by Santiago Ponzinibbio, and whatever. So yeah, he's kind of one of these guys where he folds when he fights the top level, but when he's able to fight you, when he's fighting everyone else, he does a pretty decent job of at least getting a decision. He's one of these guys too that can eat some pretty big shots. he can come back in a fight because he has such good cardio. Pretty good length as well. So, you know, it's not like he is submitting everyone, but he can definitely submit somebody if you know, if you give him the opportunity. I'm sure he can get a submission in here. He can get a finish on the floor or whatnot. So, granted, it hasn't happened in a long time. What was his last fight when he got killed by? Yeah, I mean, pretty much his last finish was against Craig White in 2018, right? So he kneed him in the head. So yeah, he's not out here finishing people. But I do still think that, like, if you give him your neck or whatever, like, he's gonna be able to submit you. Or you put him, if you're gassed out, like, I still think he could probably finish. He's not really a guy that is gonna knock you out either, right? I don't really see a Neil Magny knocking out Daniel Rodriguez, so I don't really think that's gonna happen. And then for Daniel Rodriguez, in this one, he's gonna have to really be the aggressor, really touching the chin of Magny, really trying to take him out, be in his face. And because if it ends up being a point fight, right, Magny can steal those points if he's landing some takedowns, or if he's pushing him up against the fence, or if he's just the more moving around, landing some, because I don't see him out striking Daniel Rodriguez. But I do think, like, just like the fight against Griffin, right? Griffin landed 67 significant strikes, and then Magny landed 54, but they gave and Griffin had a knockdown, but they gave Magny the fight. So it's like, what, right? Like, if you saw that, you might question it. But, you know, it was Neil Magny landed, what was it? Total strikes was 204 as opposed to Griffin's 132. So then at the same time, and he went for 9 takedowns. He only got 1 takedown, but he went for 9. So it's also just about whether or not Magny looks like he's doing more, right? Maybe he's not really doing more, but he's just in your face, or he's trying to do something and he's throwing something or trying to go for the takedowns, and he doesn't look labored or whatever. So he could definitely steal this fight, Neil Magny. You know, Rodriguez, like I said, I think he needs to press forward, stay on him, don't let him get away, don't get frustrated by the reach, right? I think obviously that's a thing, because that could be a problem where Magny's kind of just getting out of the way at the opportune moments. And then Rodriguez should go after the legs of Magny, try to land some heavy leg kicks, stay on him, don't let him get away, don't get taken down. That's probably going to be the biggest thing, honestly, is just whether or not Rodriguez is able to get kind of pushed up against the fence and kind of stuck, right, where he's not really doing anything. When you break off the clinch, he's going to have to land some pretty heavy shots, go to the body. You're not really going to tire out Magny, but you're just going to have to make it look like at least you're doing more than him. Because, like I said, man, Magny's like very opportunistic at getting those split decision victories and having the judges favor him. And he sure as hell knows how to win a decision. So with that being said, you know, Rodriguez, it was a very close fight against Li Jingliang, and I know that fight was obviously on short notice, very short notice. Not sure if he won that fight. Thought Li Jingliang did a little bit better, landed the better shots and whatnot. But, you know, we'll have to see how Rodriguez looks. But it's like one of those things, man, where it's just maybe Rodriguez is doing well early on, and then next thing you know, Magny does his thing, stays the cardio up, mixes in the takedowns, and just kind of stays on him. And that could just win him a decision. So I'm going to go Neil Magny on this one to defeat Daniel Rodriguez. I think, honestly, it's going to be a close fight, but I'm going to go with Neil Magny to win by a decision. In the main event of the evening, we have Marina Rodriguez taking on Amanda Lemos. Women's strawweight bout, 16-1-2 for Rodriguez, 12-2-1 for Lemos. This is one of those fights that feels like I don't even, like, it wasn't even on my radar as far as fights are concerned. So seeing this one, you know, Lemos is coming off that victory against Michelle Waterson Gomez, right? So she was able to get that submission in a fight where, you know, I think that's more so, again, just Michelle Waterson Gomez just not being at the level she used to be at, right? And she, no, granted, Lemos did grab onto that submission, that guillotine, and pretty tight, pretty good, obviously. She's a very strong fighter, not someone that you want to be even in that situation with. Against Jessica Andrade, when she got that really good opportunity, she lost via submission arm triangle. Before that, she won a split decision against Angela Hill. She's a really, like, she'll wing her shots. She's very powerful, not somebody you want to just be trading in the pocket with or anything like that. But I do think overall, someone like Rodriguez could keep her at the end of her punches, fight very technical, try to fight with the, popping out the jab, not getting into these wild exchanges, making Lemos miss and stuff like that, and that could cause some problems. Now, that being said, obviously for Lemos, she could possibly go for a takedown here, and it's just a matter of whether or not Rodriguez is able to defend it. We saw Yao Shonan get the 2 takedowns on her. Dern was able to get 1 takedown. Michelle Waterson-Gomez was able to get 1 takedown. So it's almost like, yeah, she's going to get taken down. And even against Carla Esparza, she lost that split decision. She got taken down 5 times. So it's not something like Lemos. I do think she's going to definitely try to get in there, close that distance, do her winging shots, try to go to the body and all that. But at the same time, I think she's definitely going to try to get into the grappling to see maybe she can submit her. But, when you look at her fight against Mackenzie Dern, and even when you look at her fight against Carla Esparza, it's a very competitive fight, man. Like, it was very competitive. I understand she got taken down 5 times against Carla Esparza, but it was a split decision, and that was like 2 years ago. Against Mackenzie Dern, significantly landed more strikes, 144 as opposed to Dern's 49 significant strikes landed. So that was a pretty good one, and she only got taken down 1 time in that fight. So I was really impressed by it, and that was a unanimous decision, all 5 rounds. So we've seen her go all 5 rounds, and she defended 7 takedowns against Dern, and I just think that was a really great performance. And if she can get someone like Dern, who's gonna literally dive in for these takedowns, try to get you in any position so she can land these takedowns, and then she was still able to defend them and then light her up on the feet. I just feel like she'll be able to defend Lemos's takedowns. It's just a matter of whether Lemos is going to be able to create that chaos early on, and if it disrupts Rodriguez and Rodriguez ends up getting caught with something, that could be a problem. But I do think over the course of 5 rounds, I really could see Rodriguez just piecing her up and hanging in there for 5 rounds and really just dominating as the fight goes on. And like I said, fighting more technical, not, even taking advantage of the moments where Lemos is getting a little bit too aggressive, where her defense does go out the window. Now it is a fight, so obviously Lemos could land something big, or yeah, maybe she takes her down and Rodriguez just gets into an awkward position, and next thing you know, Lemos wins by a submission. It's very possible, but man, Rodriguez is going to be in her face. She's gonna be landing combinations too that are pretty good, taking advantage of moments where Lemos, I think, leaves her defense a little bit down, and we'll have to see how this plays out. But man, yeah, Rodriguez, tough fighter. Against Cynthia Calvillo, was that a draw? Yeah, Esparza split decision, Randa Marcos majority decision, another draw. So yeah, I mean, when you look in her fights, like, she can definitely hang in there with the best. She's not getting crushed. She's not getting like absolutely destroyed yet. So we'll have to see, man. But I'm gonna go Marina Rodriguez on this one. I like how she fights. I think she's still very technical. I haven't had any reason for her to say like she's done or anything like that. So I'm gonna go. And Lemos, I understand she's very tough. She kind of reminds me of Jessica Andrade, but I do think there's holes that Rodriguez could take advantage of. So I'll go Marina Rodriguez to defeat Amanda Lemos. I'll take her to win by a decision. So that'll do it, guys, for my UFC Vegas 64 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday. It's a fight card, and we'll move on to the next one. Obviously, UFC 281 is going to be the absolute banger, and that's the one everyone's looking forward to. So that main card is pretty damn stacked, and we'll see how that one plays out. But yeah, and who knows, maybe the winner of this fight ends up fighting the winner of Esparza versus Zhang Weili. Well, we'll have to see how that one plays out. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Leave your comments down below. Tell me who you think is going to win the main event. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You know what? I'll see you guys in the next video.